Kris.
And I'm Wyatt Elliott from Notebook Entertainment.
And you're watching Horrorland News. So I just want to start out by saying that I know when I watch it back, I see myself mispronounce names or use the wrong names. Like last week, I wanted to say John Carpenter and I said John Williams, which are two completely different people.
I didn't even catch that.
And I just want to say, like, I realized afterwards that I've made the mistake. Obviously, I do know my stuff. It's just that the way my brain works is like it's 15 feet ahead of where my mouth is. Yeah. So my mouth can't always catch up, and it's just spitting out whatever it can to make things make sense. So
yeah, we don't have a script for this. I mean, we have like an outline
notes,
of what we want to talk about, notes, but there's no script. But I did see, you're not the only one. I saw James made a big goof in the Scream recount that he had a tweet about.
Everybody does it.
And he was like, said the same thing you did, where he was like, I know what it was supposed to be. It just came out wrong,
right. I know the difference between John Carpenter and John Williams, obviously.
And I'm telling you, in editing, you can listen to it 15 times, and sometimes you just won't hear it.
Yep.
So
I just want to say, yes, we do know what we're talking about. It's just sometimes my mouth doesn't know what I'm talking about. But my brain's always there.
That's why I say as little as possible.
All right, so with that out of the way, let's get into this with TV Roundup.
No TV and no beer make Homer something.
So, of course, HBO has renewed Last of Us for Season 2. It scored their second best premiere for HBO since Boardwalk Empire in 2010. Mm-hmm. House of the Dragon killed both of those, so that's why it's second best. But
yeah. I mean, Game of Thrones is still like their most, I'm sure, I assume, but their most popular show.
But Last of Us, guys, it is everywhere. Everybody's talking about it. Good. Episode 3 made like everybody cry.
Yeah, it's a devastating episode, which I have, because I did not play the video game, so I am watching this, and then I try to watch video game spoilers, which ended up spoiling the whole game ending for me, but I don't know that they're going to go that route. This was the first episode where they really deviated from the game, because Nick Offerman's character in the game, apparently, you meet him and his friend, Frank, is already gone. And so there's kind of alluding to that there was more there, but they don't ever actually dive into it. This shows more, and honestly, from what I've seen, gives them a way better story and a happy ending. Because, spoiler alert, they don't. This shows their demise, but they're together for like 20 years, you know, and then they decide to go together. So like, it's sad, but you can't have a happier like life in the end of the world apocalypse. Especially, they were managed to survive and have a normal life as best they could. Like, you know, so the tears were kind of sadness and joy, I think, at the same time. While in the game, it looks like Frank got brutally killed, you know, and just like hung himself and shit. So like, I think that this is better. I think it's an improvement. And boy, what performances, man! I remember thinking Nick Offerman's not going to be able to pull this off. He's too.
He can pull off anything.
He killed it. So.
Killed it. All right, and that Linda Ronstadt song.
Oh
kids,
for a long, long time. Yep.
Look up the rest of her stuff. You're gonna love it.
You are gonna love it if you like this song. The way they use that song, though, to not only portray sadness, but then they play it again at the end and it has a different meaning. And all of a sudden, it's like, it's about them spending their life together. Mm-hmm. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I'm sure Linda Ronstadt would have been thrilled.
Yeah. So as long as the rest of the season doesn't somehow go down the drain, then season 2...
It's good stuff. And season 2, if they stick to what the second game is, that's going to be an absolute mindfuck. But I don't know what I think, if they think they should do that or not at this point. I'm going to wait and see how this season ends and decide. Because if... You know, again, spoiler alert, if they go the route of the game, then Pedro Pascal's not in it anymore. So, are they going to really do that?
I love Pedro Pascal.
I know. He's so good.
I know. He was on SNL last night. Okay.
Yeah, he did all right from what I saw.
He did.
I liked it when he got the giggles in the hospital bed. All
right. So, moving on to Amazon Prime. They have a series coming out called The Power.
Ooh.
It is based on award-winning thriller novel of the same name by British author Naomi Alderman, and it's starring Toni Collette and John Leguizamo, along with a bunch of other people. The showrunner is Rael Tucker, who worked on True Blood.
Oh.
So
Cool.
So here's what it's about. Suddenly and without warning, teenage girls develop the power to electrocute people at will. The series features a cast of remarkable characters from London to Seattle, Nigeria to Eastern Europe, as the power evolves from a tingle in a teenager's collarbones to a complete reversal of the power balance of the world. Death to the patriarchy!
Well, yeah. It's an interesting concept for sure. You know, I hope that they explain it as to why. That's all thing that I would ask, but otherwise, or maybe they don't need to explain it.
Maybe they don't need to, because
they don't.
We always say with zombie movies, like, you don't need to explain why
true.
they're zombies.
The X-Men doesn't
zombies.
explain why they're mutants, so it
It's
just
the mutant
happens,
gene.
and that's what makes people scared of them.
Why are they Jedis? Because they have the Jedi mitochondria or whatever.
Well, that was
midichlorians.
That was retcon. They were supposed to just train, and anybody could be a Jedi,
you know.
but whatever.
But I'm going with the, canon. It's canon.
It is canon.
They made it canon.
It is canon. We all have to accept it.
All right, so The Power will premiere March 31st on Prime, and it's going to be 10 episodes in the series.
Oh, cool.
Yep. So I'm probably gonna check it out. When he saw the trailer, because there's a trailer, we'll link to it. He said not for him maybe, but I'm gonna give it a shot.
I mean, I do like the people that are in it, so that get like Toni Collette usually picks up good projects, so I'm sure that it is good. It was giving me those teen back in the 2000s, not Twilight, but what were those other ones like Insurgent and stuff? It was giving me those vibes. Or there was ones where the teenagers were mutants and stuff, like the one with what is it? Four. I Am Number 4 or something was like very much like that. So that's Push.
I like
that's
Push.
the vibes I was getting, but I'm hoping I'm totally off.
I don't know, but I'll give it a shot because again, I love Toni Collette and John Leguizamo, and I want women to take over the world. So,
and if it's good enough and you're bragging about it, then I'll check it out too.
There we go. All right, so Disney Plus just got a whole lot cooler because they are doing a Goosebumps series.
Oh, cool! Finally.
Finally. It'll be starring Justin Long, Rachel Harris.
Oh, what horrible thing's gonna happen to him in this?
Rachel Harris, who, I love her from Lucifer and a whole bunch of other things.
Oh, is that the psychiatrist girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then newly announced addition to the cast, Rob Hubel.
Oh.
From Children's Hospital, if you watch Adult Swim.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like they're going to do book by book like the old series was. It looks like it's going to be more like the 2015 movie where they take like everything and spit it out on it.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, if they're going to have a main cast for the whole series, And I thought, well, unless he's just hosting it or something. But
no, I don't know. I don't know why I don't get R.L. Starr. Like, he used to host the ones back in the 90s.
on the kids one. I remember that. On Fox Kids, he would host it.
I have him on VHS and DVD.
Oh. I think that's the way. I don't know. I was a teenager, I think, when those came out, or early 20s or something. I enjoyed them. Like, it felt like a Twilight Zone for younger people. It
really was.
And
sixth grade, I was like queen of sixth grade because I had all the Goosebumps books and I would lend them out to people.
Oh, it was cool. I mean, I think that's what they should do. Even if they have to cast somebody as R.L. Stein, if he doesn't want to do it. Which
I don't see why he wouldn't, because he's always on Twitter, like, posting about his stuff. Yeah, so, like, he still loves his stuff.
I'm sure he would.
He's always posting about Slappy and stuff. Okay, so the series follows a group of 5 high schoolers who unleash supernatural forces upon the town and must all work together thanks to and in spite of their friendships, rivalries, and pasts with each other in order to save it, learning much about their own parents' teenage secrets in the process.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like what the movies were like, for sure.
And Rob Letterman, who directed the 2015 movie, he's going to direct the first episode as well as write and executive produce for the series.
Okay, well, there you go. It's definitely a
So they're definitely in pre-production. Yeah. We'll keep you updated, but I'm excited for any new Goosebumps content.
Sure.
All right, so let's move on to Trailer Park.
In a world.
The first one is, I think, a horror comedy. Like, it looks like it's gonna be a for the family type movie. It's called We Have a Ghost, and it's going to be on Netflix, and it is a movie, so they can't, like, cancel it right away.
And it looks like it should have or would have been a theatrical movie. Like, it doesn't look like a low-budget movie.
No,
it looks like they really went all out for this and then ended up on Netflix for whatever reason.
And it's from Christopher Landon, who did Happy Death Day and Freaky. So I like Happy Death Day. I didn't see Freaky because the whole idea of a grown man in a teenage girl's body, it just... too freaky for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's past Freaky Friday because at least that was mom and daughter.
Yeah.
You know, like
I hear it's good though. Like I've always heard good things about it.
It to me it was the horror version of The Hot Guy, which The Hot Guy is already
The Hot Chick,
is already a horror, or you know, like
it's
Rob Schneider and Rachel McAdams' body should never happen.
No.
No. So we have a Ghost on Netflix. We'll be starring David Harbour as Ernest the Ghost. And it's also starring Anthony Mackie, Tig Notaro, and Jennifer Coolidge as a medium. I am so excited. I love her.
Yeah, that's why I think it's got a comedic feel, because they hired all comedic actors.
Right.
You know, because Anthony Mackie, when he was first coming around, did a lot of comedy.
Yeah, he's a funny guy.
You know, he's a very funny guy.
And I love Tig Notaro.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that
I love Jennifer Coolidge.
We were talking about it earlier, and it was giving us that CBS show Ghosts, as well as Beetlejuice vibes. Yeah. You know?
Like Beetlejuice, Addams Family type.
Yeah.
All fun for the family.
Dark,
horror for the family.
Exactly. Dark horror for the family, though.
Yep. So here's what this is about. Finding a ghost named Ernest haunting their new home turns Kevin's family into an overnight social media sensation. But when Kevin and Ernest go rogue to investigate the mystery of Ernest's past, they become a target of the CIA.
Yeah.
Well, that escalated quickly.
Right. Well, the trailer alludes to he didn't die of natural causes.
Right.
So
there's going to be some kind of sad
something's
backstory.
amok.
Yeah. So this will premiere February 24th, so just a couple weeks away on Netflix.
Well, alrighty then.
All right, so next trailer we have is for The Boogeyman from 20th Century.
Not the old Boogeyman.
Not the old one with Barry Watson and Temperance Brennan from Bones.
I couldn't even
Emily
tell you.
Deschanel, that's her name.
Oh, was she in that? I didn't even know that. I don't remember. I just remember I hated it.
I liked the first one. Well, I didn't like it. Okay. Well, let's be clear. Like, I don't like it, but I don't hate it.
Yeah, I saw
the first one.
I hated it.
So this Boogeyman, is based on the Stephen King short story from the book Night Shift, although it was published earlier than Night Shift, but he added it to Night Shift, and that's where it blew up. So it's directed by Rob Savage, who did Host and Dashcam. So what this one is about... Still reeling from the tragic death of their mother, a teenage girl and her little brother find themselves plagued by a sadistic presence in their house and struggle to get their grieving father to pay attention before it's too late.
This trailer did look cool. I like the creepiness of the little girl under the bed.
I know, rolling her little moon
ball.
ball.
Yeah, the way the camera spun and everything. Very, very well done. And you know what? That reminded me. I'm going to have to look this up. I wanted to see that movie, Dashcam, that he made. It was all from like a cop's dash cam.
Yep, we talked about it here.
I know, and I wanted to see that. So I'll have to look it up. It's got to be on streaming somewhere.
Somewhere, for sure. Mm-hmm. So this movie was originally going to be released on Hulu. But a strong test screening and blessing from Stephen King got the studio to release it in theaters instead. So it'll be in theaters June 2nd.
Okay, so that's a brilliant idea. Netflix, here, listen up. This is what you should do. You should put your movies in front of people to test screen them. And if it tests over a certain score, put it in theaters. Because... this should be what the future is, I think. Instead of just, okay, we got to feed our streaming service, but it's been proven that a movie that starts in the theaters then goes to a streaming service does better than movies that just go straight to streaming. Mm-hmm. Why? Because there's still that prestige about being in a theater. Oh, I can watch this at home.
Plus word of mouth.
Word of mouth. And people, so this is the way it should be. I think this is a great idea, and kudos to Fox and Hulu for doing that.
Yep. Finally, someone's doing something right.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, and Hulu's part of Disney, so kudos, Disney.
I guess. All right, so let's move on to news. All right, so there will be a Violent Night 2.
Yes, I did see that.
Director Tommy Wirkola has said that they're, quote, just making deals and getting everything in order. He also said, quote, "We have time to really crack the script and figure out the story, and we have some ideas. Good. Me and writers, Pat and Josh, and the producers, we've been talking about where we want to take it and what we want to see. There's stuff we left on the floor, like the North Pole, Mrs. Claus, the elves. Yep. But story-wise, I think we have a really, really cool idea that expands on the world and scope, but still keeping that tone that we love from the first one."
All right, here's my pitch. So you have whoever the bad guys are, terrorists or whatever, attack the North Pole. And now he's got to
Isn't that the movie from the beginning of Scrooge? Do you remember where they're watching like all the movies?
Was it?
And he's like, yes, and they're all horrible movies. Like,
it may have been something like that.
I feel like there's Santa with a machine gun or something at the beginning of Scrooge.
Well, they could do it for real. It would be awesome, actually.
It would be awesome.
Because if you think about it, then we'd get to see Mrs. Claus, the elves, and how it works, and all the whole world, plus throw in the Die Hard stuff. I mean...
Right, terrorists are infiltrating the North Pole.
And they could call it Violent, Even More Violent Night.
Violentest Night.
Violentest Night.
So we'll keep you updated as they continue through pre-production, but all we know now is that they want to do it.
Or, here's my other pitch. He accidentally runs over Grandma. Grandma comes back from the dead as a zombie and takes revenge. Or Grandma's family.
They made a movie about that. Grandma got run over.
It was really terrible.
It really was. All right, so moving on, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey isn't coming out until February 15th, but there's already a sequel in the works.
There is, really?
Yep. It was announced through the film's official Twitter account. It promises, quote, more blood, more honey.
Well,
and that's all that's known so far.
And Eeyore. Let's get some Eeyore in there. Although he might be dead in the first one because they said that they killed off their friends.
Right.
So
There's probably like a forest fire in 100 Acre Wood or something. So we'll see where this goes, but that's...
Or a Tigger, maybe he could bounce, some guy with a tiger mask bounces around.
Oh my god, that'd be amazing, bouncing him to death.
He's on a pogo stick.
I would watch that.
Yeah, I would watch that too. Maybe they'll get a bigger budget and he can do CG.
Alright, so James Gunn and Peter Safran, the new heads of DC, for Warner Brothers, they've announced a new take on Swamp Thing among their many projects.
Yeah.
The new Swamp Thing movie will, quote, delve into the dark origins of Swamp Thing.
I mean, cool.
Right. Gunn described this as, quote, a much more horrific film and will still have Swamp Thing interact with other DC characters. I think it's just because Marvel introduced Man-Thing in Werewolf by Night.
It has to be.
I really think it is. They're like, yes, we have to do the Swamp Thing now.
I mean, yeah, because there's no...
Because the show failed. They tried a show.
And when I heard the show was good. And they tried it on HBO Max, and they pushed it to CW, and I guess it bombed in both places, because Swamp Thing doesn't have a huge, following. I mean, he's got a cult thing, because they're always trying to make movies. But
the movies get worse each time they try. Like, the first one is the top, and then just like...
I just don't see where...
And then you've got him making out with what's-her-face.
I don't see where Swamp Thing fits into what they're trying to do, but...
I don't know. But DC Comics Swamp Thing character was created by legendary writer-artist team of Len Wein and Bernie Wrightson. They debuted in the horror anthology series House of Secrets number 92 back in July of 1971 before earning his own solo series. Just for comparison, though, because there's always a rival, Marvel's Man-Thing also premiered in 1971, but in May in Savage Tales number 1. Just FYI.
They were ridiculous. They are still ridiculous about copying each other.
And that's why I swear to God, because they put Man-Thing in Werewolf by Night... They told James Gunn and Peter Safran, they're like, okay, you guys, we got to do Swamp Thing now. Come on. We got to beat Marvel at something, because...
Well, I have a feeling, because, Kevin Feige was always competitive with DC, and now that his friend is running it, it's going to even probably get worse, and I'm hoping it's a friendly rivalry, so this may be James Gunn shooting first, you know, you may have...
if it's a friendly rivalry, that's a good thing, because then it'll bring both up.
It's competition.
It's competition. Exactly. If it's not a friendly rivalry, then it's going to make both projects suck. All right, so let's move on. Jason Bateman has been tapped to direct The Pinkerton, a supernatural revenge Western hybrid thriller. So J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot, they acquired the rights to this film, I guess, 3 years ago. And they just now finally have tapped a director for it. And it's Jason Bateman.
Okay.
Details are being kept under wrap, but the title references the detective agency that was started in 1850 by Alan Pinkerton. I like the Pinkertons, so I know a lot of history about the Pinkertons. They're most famous for, they claimed to have thwarted a plot to assassinate Abraham Lincoln as he was traveling across the country during the Civil War on a train. I mean, if only they had followed him to the theater, but, you know. But there's even a drunk history episode that details their train ride with Lincoln and how they used like doubles and stuff to keep him safe. And the Pinkertons at the time were also big because they let women be detectives as well. So I look up the Pinkertons. It's a very interesting history. I have no idea what this movie is going to be about.
Right. It doesn't sound like a historical...
supernatural revenge western hybrid thriller is what it's being described as.
Supernatural revenge. Huh, I don't know.
I don't know.
Supernatural could be just somebody coming back from the dead. It could be ghosts. It could be...
I don't know. But horror is the only way I ever watch westerns because I don't like westerns. So that's the only time you can get me to watch one is if you saw a horror movie there. All right. So another quick news... Five Nights at Freddy's has begun filming. On February 1st, Jason Blum tweeted out a set photo to let us all know that production has begun.
Oh, yeah.
Because he knows we're excited.
He's pushing this
He
one.
knows we're excited.
He knows.
And then also, we brought you previous casting news about Matthew Lillard and Josh Hutcherson. Now Mary Stuart Masterson has joined the cast as well. I like her. Yeah. Benny and June. I love Benny and June, you guys.
Yeah, I like Benny and June.
Moving on to our last news thing of the week. I can't even talk.
Last news story?
Sure. Damien Leone, who you know from Terrifier, he's teased a collaboration with Sam Raimi.
Ooh.
Yeah, so he did an interview with Insider, and he said, quote, "There is an original project I have in development with Ghost House Pictures, which is Sam Raimi's production company. So if that happens, that would be amazing. I'm really hoping that could happen before Terrifier 3, or it might happen right after. We'll see." As to Terrifier 3, he said, "I am writing Terrifier 3 as we speak. I definitely want to make at least one more. There may be 2 to tell this story and tackle all of the ideas I have in my head, because there's a lot more to explore with Art the Clown, the Pale Girl, Victoria, and certainly Sienna as our final girl. We'll be following her journey to the end of this franchise."
Oh, that's interesting. So he's planning on keeping the same girl.
Yeah, same final girl.
That's
which
cool.
Scream is one of the few to do that.
Right,
yeah, Scream
exactly.
and Halloween, you know, I mean, there was a
Halloween
break
sort
in
of,
it.
Yeah, Halloween sort of.
There's a big break there.
Halloween's an off and on relationship. Interesting though. Like, hey, that's great. I think that is cool. Obviously, in Terrifier 2, he had a lot of ideas.
Yes.
Because it took him 2.5 hours, and he still didn't.
He still didn't. I still left confused.
Right.
Like, wait a minute, why that and why that?
I think it's a better idea, Damien, to split it into 2 movies instead of giving us a 4-hour horror movie.
And explain everything properly in the first one.
So you've got everybody's attention. Now just do it right.
He has my attention from the effects. The special effects are, I just could not stop staring at the screen going, how did they do that? You know? Like,
oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
It's beautiful. All right, so that's it for news. We'll move on to a very special indie film spotlight.
My advice to young filmmakers, make a movie every week. Make films, no matter what anybody says, and you'll be a filmmaker.
So today, rather than go searching YouTube like I normally do, we decided that we were going to watch Skinamarink and review it here for Indie Film Spotlight.
We've been wanting to watch this for a while.
Right, we talked about it here on the news.
We heard lots of people talking about it that seemed to like it.
Yep. I finally found a movie I hate more than The Empty Man. Like, at first, I got it, and, like, the feeling was leaving you kind of on edge and tense and anxious because you didn't know where it was going. But after, like, an hour... Guys, I was just getting mad. Like, I was just getting frustrated and mad.
Yeah.
This movie needed to be a lot shorter.
Exactly. I get it. It's an experimental film. It's a analog horror, they call it. But it's a lot of just still shots. And it's really low quality film, which I know is intentional.
Right.
And it's just, sometimes you don't even know what you're looking at. We timed a couple things. It was 16 minutes before anything happened, literally at
anything.
All. Like, a lot of it was opening credits, and then it was shots of just the house. and feet, I think.
Right.
And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of just shots of the house.
It was
and
almost an hour in before we first saw a face or something.
Yeah, it was like an hour in before a face showed up, and even that face was blurred out.
Right.
But and I want you guys to understand, this is not just shots. This is shots at extremely low angles, extremely high angles.
Right. Nothing's framed right.
Nothing is framed right. So I'm sitting there trying to figure out, okay, is this from the kid's point of view, the demon's point of view? Troll, what is it? It wasn't security cameras in 1995.
And we kept trying to be like, what is the theme or plot of this movie? At one point, he was like, maybe the kids are dead.
Yeah.
And I was like, or maybe this is like a child's view of like their parents going through a divorce.
Yeah, because you hear random pieces of dialogue. At one point, you hear the father calling somebody.
I assume the mother.
Saying the kid fell down the stairs.
Kevin fell down the stairs.
And then there's another one where you kind of hear, you know, him saying like that she's gone or something, like your mom's gone, and that's where I think you came with the divorce idea.
Yeah, because then the
like,
mother was like, "We love you both very much,"
yeah,
or whatever.
It sounded
like,
very divorce-like. I've heard, and then we had the idea of it just being a nightmare, like maybe it's a kid's
right, because when he fell down the stairs,
you know, and maybe
like,
he had brain damage, and this is what I don't know. I guess this film is just left up to be.
I hate these movies because everyone's like, it's genius, and I consider myself a pretty intelligent person, and so stuff like this comes out, and I guess I'm just stupid because I don't get it.
I know, I hate it too because that is how I feel too. Is I'm like, well, I'm supposed to like this, and there was a lot of movies in the past I remember where I would see it because they were Oscar contenders, and I'm like, yeah, this is great. But this is one I can't. I just can't. I don't understand.
No, by the end, okay, so the last, 20 minutes, there were 7 endings, guys. I counted 7 times, including the actual ending, where the movie could have logically ended.
Yeah.
And they just kept going. It was worse than The Lord of the Rings. It was just... It kept going, end.
But the problem is, I've never experienced a movie before where we were both rooting for it to end.
I know, it's like, the end?
Is it the end? Please,
No.
God, if you're telling me it's over. Please tell me it's over. And, it's hard to say where it's going to end because really it could have ended 10 minutes in, it could have ended an hour out, and it didn't matter.
It really needed to be much, much shorter. An hour and 40 minutes was way too much for this. This should have been a short.
It should have very much been a short. This is, I looked it up too. This was a crowdfunded film.
$15,000,
$15,000. I
assume most of that went to paying the cast and crew and getting them craft services.
I hope so.
It definitely didn't go into production.
No.
Seriously, we were talking about he's got the effects to do the grainy stuff on his computer. We literally could gather a bunch of our old creepy toys that we've got laying around and film this in an hour.
Right. Yeah, we already talked about doing parodies and stuff. This is I don't know. And if you enjoy this kind of thing, that's fine. I've never experienced a film like this before. I know there's a lot of experimental films in the art community and stuff. The fact that this actually made it into theaters.
The thing is I've seen what they called on The Office with Gabe when he had, what was it, the Cinema of the Weird or whatever. Yeah. But I've seen Cinema Obscura films and stuff like that before, and very art house films. And some of them are hit and some of them are miss. But this was a big miss for me because I literally, you can't even appreciate the art of it because you're so frustrated that nothing's happening.
And again, if it would have been shorter, because in the beginning, I'd say the first half hour of the movie, we were kind of intense watching it. Because it reminded me of watching the Paranormal Activity movies, especially the early ones, where there was a lot of just cutting to different cameras in the house and literally nothing happens, but you're waiting for something to happen, and your eyes are scanning everywhere for movement or anything. And then finally they give it to you.
But see, in Paranormal Activity, when stuff starts happening, it's cool.
Yeah.
But here, stuff started happening, and we're like, what
is it still? And she pointed out, too, a lot of times when things move, you can clearly, they don't show the end of the thing, so there's no effects, they're just somebody pulling it.
Pulling it or pushing it.
So if something's moving, it's is the kid moving it? Is the dad moving it? Is the ghost moving it?
Because they're not using special effects.
Yeah.
They've got the special effects in their camera. They've got the special effects of, shots moving in and out and things fading
Things
and stuff.
disappearing,
But when it comes to the stuff moving, they did not. So literally, these toys are getting pushed over, and we're like, okay, is that supposed to be like a ghost doing it?
Yeah.
Or is it the kid doing it?
It's
This movie
ridiculous.
made me mad. It did. By the end, like he said, we were rooting for it to end. We're like, end.
I would say after an hour of this, I was getting very frustrated. We did take very few pauses in between.
To let the dogs
there
out
was a
and
couple
stuff.
of pauses, but most of the time we just let it roll through. But man, if I would have been in the theater sitting,
I'm pissed.
Although I did tell her, I said, if you hadn't chosen this movie for this segment, I would have turned it off.
Yeah, we wouldn't have finished it. There's very few movies that I don't finish to at least, see the story through. This is one where, if this weren't for this show, I would have just said, I give up and turned it off.
Because at one point I turned to her and I was like, okay, I get it now. My theory is this is a sensory overload horror movie.
Right, he's like, is this ASMR?
Right, because it's all whispers and it's all noises. And your eyes are trying to figure out what it is. There's like one sort of jump scare with those eyes that turn into the toy. Like,
but again,
and
we
one
saw it
spatter
coming,
of blood, maybe. There was like a spatter of something, but
yeah.
I don't know. Like, my honest, best guess on what this movie is my first impression was that the father killed his family,
right,
and the kids woke up because they were sleeping when they were killed, so they don't know that they're dead, and so they're waking up trying to figure out what's going on, and then
there's some demon
because
they're in purgatory,
right,
or something.
and then something's trying to get. At one point, something says to them, "Come with your mother, or I'll show you where something." So that's my best guess. I don't know.
What pisses me off, and because I couldn't stop thinking about it, was how these kids are not acting like kids. Because I get it that they've got the flashlight or whatever, and maybe the lights didn't work, but every time they showed the kids flipping on light for the bathroom or something, it worked.
Yes.
So I remember as a kid, my sister and I had very vivid imagination. So when we were left alone and I was babysitting, if something scary happened, every light in the house was on.
Right.
We were making noise. The radio was on. The TV was on. Everything was on.
And since when do kids respect parents sleeping or whatever? They run in the room and turn on the lights, and they don't care. They turn on the lights.
And
what kid is doing this?
The flashlight pisses me off too because they never leave it on. It's like, who walks around their house with a flashlight constantly just turning it on and off in the dark? You want it to see.
That's what I mean. It's like sensories. It's like a sensory overload movie or something, or a torture device. We thought about that too. That maybe the movie, watching it is the horror because it's nothing but torturing you.
I told him at one point, I said, I feel like this is the Kyle Edward Balls, whatever. The director. I feel like it's his joke on the audience, and he's like, how much can we make these guys watch? How long before they just give up? Because it felt like an exercise in torture.
Yeah, and then the very last shot, you do get to see somewhat of a face that I guess is supposed to be the demon or whatever, but there's no really...
Yeah, they're like, what's your name? And there's no payoff to that.
There's no
payoff to anything.
Right, and that's what I was telling her too. Another thing that got frustrated was I told her it's like in Paranormal Activity, when you see something move or there's a payoff to it later. There's no payoff to any of this. The Legos move, but what does that mean?
Who
the
cares?
Toys are on the ceiling, but
we
what does that mean?
We don't even see the kids really react to any of it either.
And what kid moves around the house this slowly?
Right.
It's literally sometimes they're almost reminding me of, again, a video game where you're exploring with a flashlight. And I thought,
but even those move faster.
Most people do, but I'm just what? It reminded me of also kind of those really, really old point and click games where you had to point and then it moved a little bit. You point and then it moved a little bit because everything moves so slow. Even if there is a little bit of conversation between the kid and a ghost or whatever, he'll say something. Wait
5 minutes.
5 minutes, then there's a response. And the camera doesn't move during this time. It just sits there.
Nope. And if you've talked to a kid, if they ask you a question and you don't answer right away, they're not sitting there just patiently waiting. They're looking around.
That's why I'm saying these kids aren't alive. They're either dreaming, dead,
or somebody who doesn't know how to write children.
Well, I mean, I guess, but these kids, my best guess is this is not a reality situation.
Right, they're in some kind of purgatory or something.
Yeah, or in their head, nightmare, something. Something is not normal, whatever the fuck this is.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure I can recommend it. I always say, see stuff and, make your own opinion.
Yeah.
Because not everything is for everybody. And this was just not for us
Here's what I want to say. don't let people in the media or anything make you feel bad for not liking this movie. Because this is art. Art is subjective, and this is something that I didn't like, she didn't like it. You're going to see reviews of people that do like it, maybe people you even respect that like it. They might have a joy of artistic expression in films and stuff that I didn't really get exposed to of these movies that are possibly like this. I get the whole analog horror thing. I get that. That's cool. The rest of it, of just these random, I can't get behind it. Maybe if it was a 10-minute short, I'd be okay with it. An hour and a half of this was just too much.
It was too much. It was an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And it felt longer.
Way
felt
longer.
way longer.
Way longer.
Like I said, it's a bad sign for your movie when your audience is rooting for it to finish. Like,
it really is. Kudos for them getting it made. Kudos for getting a small theatrical release and all that, and getting a lot of buzz. I saw it in a lot of people's top 10 lists. It's another reason why we wanted to watch it.
We were tricked.
If we had watched this movie before we made our end of the year thing, it would have definitely been number one for both of us.
Yes.
I guarantee. I would watch Firestarter 10
times over. Which I just want to touch on that really quick, because that's going through the horror community as well. The Razzies need to end.
Yeah.
The Razzies decided to nominate Ryan Kiera Armstrong for Worst Actress, and that's bullshit. You don't do that to children.
That's not
She
cool.
had no part in anything in that movie other than acting in it. She didn't write it. No, she acted well for what they wrote for that
what
part.
They told her
fucked
to
the
do.
part up. That's not her fault.
No.
She just acted.
And we said that in our review, and everything else we talked about that movie is, it wasn't her fault. She did what she was told to do. They didn't understand the assignment.
The story, right.
They didn't understand. So how is the little girl going to understand? How is she? She's not going to argue and say
it's not like she read Firestar, No,
like, she's not going to sit there and say, well, no, I think it should be different. No, she's going to come in and she's going to do her job. She did her job well.
Yeah.
She did her job well. We just all felt that it wasn't what the part called for.
Like, it's one thing to shit all over adults, and even that's kind of mean, because, again, even the adult actors don't really have a say in what they're putting on film.
I guess,
like,
but
they chose the role, but I mean,
adults can take it. The adults
a
know
little
the
better,
joke.
exactly.
Adults know the Razzies are a joke.
And
they know
I don't care. She's going to be a star. That little girl is a great actress.
Oh, yeah. No, she's really
she
good.
killed it in American Horror Story. Like, she's... I think she's got big things, especially in horror, with that face of hers.
Yeah.
That she's a creepy little kid. Like, she can pull it off. She'll be great in horror. And I think kids should never be nominated for Razzies, ever.
Agreed. Hard agree on that one. All right, guys. I think that's enough of smashing and bashing this movie. Watch it at your own risk. How about that? Please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already.
Ring the bell.
Ring the bell so you get notifications for our next videos. And hello to our new subscribers. We got a few this week. Well, we appreciate all of you. And on that note, I think I've said enough. I'm going to leave you alone and shut up now.
All right, and I'm going to go talk over here.
Okay, bye.
Hello, I'm R.L. Stine. I write the Goosebumps books. You're not R.L. Stine. I am. Oh, yeah? Who's working your head? You look almost lifelike. Thanks for the compliment. But I'm the real R.L. Stine. Really? If you're R.L. Stine, what is today's story? It's Night of the Living Dummy 3. It's about an evil dummy that comes to life. What a crazy idea. Sit back and enjoy the story, everyone. Was that okay? You were a little stiff.